How everybody doing today? This is Mr. Amen, and this is a Let Them Know Media production. First off, I would like to thank everybody for tuning in. I've expressed, the duality of all things and how powerful understanding these dualities really pays off in our life. And so for this topic is no different. I want to talk to you all about the conscious and subconscious mind. It's a very, very important topic that, a lot of people like to make things magical when they talk about the subconscious and the conscious mind. When I think about that, one of the first things I think about is the movie Lucy. How throughout the movie, Lucy taps into 100% of her brain. And it gives her all different kinds of access, not only to herself, but to the entire universe, the entire universe, and so the way I want to show you all or give you an image is think about, there's a picture out here that's been surfacing for quite some time on social media, and it's the iceberg. So when you look at the iceberg, you see the part that's coming out the top of the water, and then you got that big old part that's at the bottom of the water. The picture, depicts the iceberg showing itself, where you can see how much of the iceberg is at the bottom and how much is at the top of the water. And so the reason why this is so important, and the reason why I give this diagram to the image that I want y'all to see as I paint this picture, is because, the top of this iceberg, it represents the conscious mind. And then the bottom part of the iceberg represents the subconscious mind. So you see that there's more in the subconscious that's responsible for the dictatorship of how we live in our lives. And there's a lot of responsibility in understanding that, right? So the conscious mind is always responsible for taking in information, but the subconscious mind, it deals with straight up creating and autonomy and creating, right? So, like I said in one of my other videos, the subconscious is responsible for a lot of autonomy. So you're talking about breathing without thinking about it. You're talking about your blood circulating throughout your body. All of your organs working. You talking about, all the messages that's being sent down throughout the nervous system to make everything work without you thinking about it. Me waving my hand right now. I'm thinking about it, but as far as actually doing that, that's some responses going down my nervous system from my, subconscious mind, or the reticular formation and the limbic system. So, why is this important? The way we deal with our lives is completely impacted to what we've learned and how we've understood how we've learned these things. Okay, so when you're talking about autonomy, you're talking about like if you like something, if you don't like it, how you feel about this and how you actually respond to it. So as an example, if you're the type of person that every time somebody says something to you that you don't like and you get mad, right? That's autonomy, because you're actually getting mad every time. So it's like, why do you get mad? So we make these things up in our mind to make us feel like, well, I'm mad because I didn't like what they said, and so that's why I'm mad. What's actually going on is whatever behavior you accepted within yourself to be able to respond like that is completely and utterly in control by your subconscious mind. And so now it's like, okay, what do we do to try to gain some type of momentum with the subconscious mind if it's out here moving here and fro, you know what I'm saying, here and there, controlling and dictating our lives. So one of the biggest things that you can do is you can meditate, right? Meditation is the medication, right? It is the prescription for everything that you need to do. Why? When you meditate and you're breathing a certain kind of way and you're diaphragmatic breathing, when you breathe in using your diaphragm, it taps into you in such a way where you go into like these beta waves, this beta zone. I think that's what it's called, right? Once you tap into that state, that subconscious state of mind, you start affirming, right? When you affirming, you saying to yourself, well, that topic that, usually makes me mad. Okay, that's part one of everything. It's like 4 parts, right? The first part is looking at what actually makes you mad, right? The second part is seeing yourself responding differently to that, right? The third part is, understanding what's actually going on enough to do this. The fourth part, which is seeing the blessing and the benefit of actually not responding that way, right? Because what you're doing is you're reprogramming your subconscious mind. I know a lot of people, think about meditation in a way where it's like, you see the sun, the blue skies, the water, or you actually trying to just clear your mind of all thoughts that you having at that time, which is just as much as it's really important too. We call that focus meditation, when you're clearing your mind. But right now you're reprogramming the subconscious mind, and this takes time. A lot of times people say it takes 21 days to create a new habit, but sometimes it could take 90 plus days to reprogram your subconscious mind. And what it actually start happening is you will see the taming of that animal, right? Of that beast. You will start seeing the taming of you tapping in, reprogramming your mind. And actually, every time somebody says something to you, you don't even really get mad no more. It doesn't even bother you. And see, that's the type of power that the subconscious mind having. It's always listening. It's always watching. And it's always paying attention. And as soon as you accept something about your life a certain kind of way, it becomes a part of you forever until you do those things that I'm talking about now, which is meditating, reprogramming your mind, and starting to have a new leash out on life. And that's what it's all about. When we see these different behaviors that's going on in the world, it's because a lot of people do not understand thyself. They don't have knowledge of self. So let's start tapping in. Let's start meditating. Let's understand what the subconscious does. And let's understand this, and let's work on ourselves, and let's have a better life. And I know you can do it. All right? So let's do the work. Have a good day. Peace.